Welcome back. Today we'll discuss who Pliny the Younger was and what he had to say about Jesus and early Christianity. Pliny the Younger was born in northern Italy in around 61 AD. His mother was Plinia Marcella and his father was Lucius Caecilius Celio. Pliny was famously related to his uncle named Pliny the Elder. He was a famous philosopher who had died during the volcanic eruption of Mount Vesuvius. In fact, Pliny was actually given the name Pliny the Younger to differentiate from his uncle, Pliny the Elder. Pliny became involved with politics very early on into his life, as by the age of just 18, he became a public official. He eventually became a lawyer, in which he grew much fame for, as he worked on many high-level cases. In around 110 AD, Pliny the Younger became governor of both Bithynia and Pontus. These regions are in modern-day Turkey. Pliny became governor during the reign of Emperor Trajan. This information will come into play as we get into the letters of Pliny. In around 112 AD, Pliny the Younger wrote a letter to the Roman Emperor Trajan. Pliny was still governor of Pontus and Bithynia and wanted advice on how to deal with the Christians. Currently, there was a law which didn't allow groups to organize as they didn't want a revolt taking place against the Roman Empire. Pliny starts his letter off like this: "It is my practice, my lord Trajan, to refer to you all matters concerning which I am in doubt, for who can give better guidance to my hesitation or inform my ignorance? I have never before participated in trials of Christians, so I do not know what two offenses are to be punished or investigated, or to what extent, and I have been of a little hesitant as to whether there should be any distinction on account of age, or no difference recognized between the very young and the more mature." Pliny doesn't know to what extent punishments should be made on a person based on age and such, if they were a Christian. This shows the brutality of being in the Roman Empire in the 2nd century. Pliny then further continues and says, "Is pardon to be granted for repentance? Or if a man has once been a Christian, is it irrelevant whether he has ceased to be one? Is the name itself to be punished, even without offenses, or only the offenses perpetrated in connection with the name?" Now, the most interesting part of Pliny's letter to Trajan is when he describes how certain churches gather for a mass or liturgy. He says this: "They asserted, however, that the sum and substance of their fault or error had been that they were accustomed to meet on a fixed day before dawn and sing responsively a hymn to Christ as to a God, and to bind themselves by oath not to do some crime, but not to commit fraud, theft, or adultery, not to falsify their trust, nor to refuse to return a trust when called upon to do so. When this was over, it was their custom to depart and to assemble again to partake of food, but ordinary and innocent food." In this quotation, Pliny talks about how these early Christians sing hymns as if to a god. They then make an oath to do no wrong, and then finally partake of a food. This food could represent communion or the Eucharist, for example. Finally, towards the end of the letter, Pliny says this: "For the contagion of this superstition has spread not only to the cities but also to the villages and farms. But it seems possible to check and cure it." His last line is almost written in an ominous tone, as if to imply mass persecutions on any who claim to be Christian. Trajan starts off his reply as such: "My Pliny, you have taken the method which you ought in examining the causes of those that have been accused as Christians, for indeed no certain and general form of judging can be ordained in this case." Trajan then continues and says this: "These people are not to be sought for, but if they be accused and convicted, they are to be punished, with this caution, that he who denies himself to be a Christian and makes it plain that he is not so by supplicating to our gods, although he has been so formerly, may be allowed pardon upon his repentance." What's interesting about Trajan is that he takes a more light approach to the subject of Christians than Pliny does. Pliny seems to search out Christians and their locations, while Trajan believes that it should be clear that one should be a Christian before enacting judgment. Now, what does all this information give us? Christianity is a religion which spread all throughout the Roman Empire, so much so that it has gained the attention of governing authorities and leaders of certain regions, and even the Roman Emperor himself. Pliny as well gives us information on how Christian groups worship, such as they worship a man named Christ and sing hymns to him as if to a god. From Pliny's letters, we can as well see the hatred and persecutions against Christians as something which is almost normalized. I say this as Trajan's response to Pliny seems very nonchalant, as if he doesn't have much concern for Christians who are being killed and even persecuted. Thank you for watching. I recommend you read Pliny's letter for yourself. I've even linked it in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and as always, God bless.